Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of Goals Do Come True with me, Doug Bennett. Today, I am joined by Charlie Moon. Now, Charlie is a speaker, a trainer, an author, a connector of dots. He has not got a PhD, and he's not the sharpest knife in the drawer. Now, that's what his bio says. I'm obviously not going to make that opinion, but you guys can after we've had our conversation. But Charlie does all manner of stuff. He helps people. His website is called Get Charlie Moon, and I love that. I love that. So Charlie, thank you very much for joining me over from Wichita in the States. Tell us a little bit more about yourself that we haven't covered off in that very, very brief, modest, not the sharpest tool in the chest. Tell us about yourself.
First, thank you, Doug, for having me on here and giving me the opportunity to visit with you. We're a long way apart, but I really appreciate the opportunity. It's great to meet you and become a part of what you do. So what I do is help people do the undoable, because without the right people, the right plan, and the right process, everything looks insurmountable that we can't do that. And what we do is surround ourselves with people who help us do that. And that's what I do every day. I work with professional services people. So in the States, those are architects, accountants, attorneys, bankers, people that never thought they were going to have to go out and talk to people and build their business. They thought that their technical skills, that their skills that they learned in college or at the university would carry them, and they don't. What they need to do is build relationships and understand people and working with people and how to do that. And so that's the process I teach them, and I teach them how to do it without drama, because I don't know how it is as we would say in the States, how it is in your neck of the woods, but in our neck of the woods, there's a lot of drama going on in the world.
Absolutely.
And so so I help them figure out a path around that through the right people, plan, and process. Because if you don't have those 3 P's in place, you'll have the 4th P, which is problems.
Okay, excellent. I like that.
Thank you.
We've got the 3 P's, and that's people, process, plan,
and process,
and process.
Yeah,
or process, as we say in the UK.
Process, yes.
Process. Yeah. Awesome. So this is a goal-setting podcast, right?
Good.
So how do goals fit in with what you do with your clients? Have you got a specific take on
Yes.
goals and how you put them together?
Yes.
That's a bit about that.
So we talk about focusing on the outcome. I call it FOTO. Focus on the outcome of what you do want rather than focusing on what you don't want. And what happens with a lot of people is they tell you what they don't want. Ask your wife where she wants to go to dinner, and she'll say, well, I don't want to go eat there because we just ate there, right? That happens. And we get sucked down into that drama, and we don't even realize it. And so what I encourage people to do in business and also with their life is, you only have, life remaining, 0. Life, next lives, none. This is it. And so we get focused on what we do want and focus on that. So we put some vision into it. We put some passion into it, and we take steps to get there. We'll get there. You didn't write that book behind you because you focused on the problem. You focused on how you were going to get there. And that focus on the outcome will help them get there. But if they focus on the problem, what happens is they get focused on the problem, which creates anxiety. That anxiety creates a reaction. That reaction creates another problem. That problem creates more anxiety, which creates more reaction, right? And then we just get in this endless loop, and we get focused on the problem.
Okay, so we just got to switch it. What
focus
is
on
it
the out?
You do want?
Yes.
Yeah, no, I do like that.
Let me ask you a quick question. Well, do you know anything about playing cards?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you know that there's red cards and black cards, right?
Yes.
Okay. Would you pick red or black?
Black.
Black, which leaves the red cards.
Yes.
So in those red cards, there's hearts and there's diamonds, right? Would you pick hearts or diamonds?
Diamonds.
Okay, which leaves the red hearts. So in those hearts, There's all those cards from 2 up to ace, right? All through 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, jack, king, queen, ace. So would you pick the big ones or the little ones?
The big ones.
The big ones, which leaves the little ones, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Would you pick the even ones or the odd ones?
Let's go with the even ones.
Even, that leaves us 2, 4, and 6. Would you pick 2 and 4 or would you pick 6?
I'd pick 6. I
Okay.
think. Yeah.
Which leaves us 2 and 4. Would you pick 2 of hearts or 4 of hearts?
I would pick the 2 of hearts.
The 2 of hearts, which leaves us the 4 of hearts, which that's why I wrote down 4 of hearts on this piece of paper when we started. Okay. So what I did there was to gave you an example of, I had 52 choices, 52 ways to get you to that card.
Yes.
And by giving you choices all the way through, you pick something. I knew where I was going. You didn't. But by looking at those choices, we got you where we wanted you to go. And so that's been around for a long time. But what it does is it really shows you the example of how if we focus on what we want, on the outcome we want. I wanted to get you to 4 of hearts, and I got you there by making these choices. So did I have a vision? Yes. Did I have a focus? Yes. Did I have clarity? Yes. And we got to the outcome we wanted.
That's very clever.
Thank you.
That's a very, very clever way of you. And I could see what was happening. You know, I could see it's like, right, okay, I know you're leading me away because I'm picking something and then you're going, well, so that lead. I don't want to spoil it for everybody.
No, it's fine. Share it.
It's a parlor game, but you know,
Exactly.
the thought process is, you know, well, I'm going to choose the 6 of hearts, and so that leaves the 2 and the 4, because obviously the answer that we had was the 4, so that leaves where we were wanting to go. So it's very, very clever, nice little parlor game there. You're going to impress people whilst you're out and about. But yes, you're right. But it does demonstrate that if you know where you're going.
Yes.
And that's with goals, certainly. If you know where you're going, all roads lead there, right?
Yes. Yes.
Or they can.
So in goal setting, I tell people you got to have a target, you got to have a strategy, and you got to have pursuit. And the target is you got to know where you're going. The strategy is how you're going to get there. And the pursuit is a yes or no question. So is this my goal, or is this Doug's goal, or is this my boss's goal, or whatever? Is this my wife's goal? So, because if it's not your goal, people do things for their reasons, not yours. Yes. So if it's not their goal, they're not going to get there. Target, strategy, and pursuit. See, it's so easy.
It's all of this stuff is good. Yeah, and this is what I love. And you know, I've spoken to over 80 people now, and there's always something to learn about, you know, somebody's different take on it. And that's why I think I'm going to carry on doing this, because you know, I was just beginning to think, you know, how you're beginning to think, are we getting the same thing? But there's always a little nuance. There's always a little, oh, this is the way that I see it, or this is my interpretation of it, and you know, so it's going to be never ending.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to have to try and find a way to monetize it.
There you go. There you go.
Excellent. So do you have any big, hairy, audacious goals that you've, you know, achieved in the past, or that you're working on at the moment?
Well, when I wrote my book, that was one. The book's called How to Turn Order Takers into Rainmakers. And it's in the United States, we want rainmakers. We want people that go out and make it rain for us. And what happens is we take people who are unconsciously incompetent and put them in leadership positions to teach other people who are unconsciously incompetent at what they're doing. And we get outside our circle of competence. And so what I did with this book was gave them a plan and a process on how to get where they want to go. And I start out with what I call a business development checkup, which really makes people sit in their seat and think about what they're doing to grow their business. And you could also put this over into your personal goals in looking at, you know, do we have a process in place? Do we have the right people in place? So do we have a right plan, process, etc.? And then we score those and we talk to them. And then we go through the book on what happens is a lot of people miss out on business development in their businesses and in their lives because they don't connect with enough people. And the connecting the dots, I don't know if that connects over in your neck of the woods, but they don't talk to enough people. They don't say hello to enough people to form enough relationships to be successful at what they're trying to do. So when I wrote this book, I reached out to several people that help people write books. And I found one that really fit the niche that I was looking for. And he helped me, he guided me through this process, and we got it done. And it was very simple to write. It was very easy. And so having that plan and process in place is really, really important.
Okay.
So that was a goal. If your listeners would like a copy of the book, they can go to my website that you mentioned earlier and get one. It's download it for free. And you can buy them on Amazon, but you can also get it for free off my website. Because I just, I've been around long enough. I just want to help people figure this out, how they can do things that they don't think is possible.
Yes, I think certainly book sales on Amazon aren't going to make us rich. Unless we're really, really, really lucky, and
that's a blinding glimpse of the obvious there, right? Yeah.
New York bestseller, then but I don't even know if the New York bestseller people know who Doug Bennett is, let alone. But that's at the moment. That will come. I'm going to make sure that comes. But yeah, so I like that take. I like that take to just give it away for free.
Yeah,
I think. The difficulty is that, even if you just cover the posting or ask them to cover the posting package, there's so many people out there that don't actually read.
True story.
And it's like, that is such a shame. If you're able to read, and you have been able to, most people have been able to read since the age of, 7,
yes.
11,
yes.
18 if you were a really slow learner. But
right.
It's like, there's so much stuff out there to find out about.
True story.
But getting it out there for free, that's a good call. So people listening, read lots and lots and lots, and there's free books available.
So this book was written to be read, and when I started out, I was writing big paragraphs, and the guy I was working with said, you need to chop these down into tweets, 2-3 sentences, because your goal is to get people looking down that page. And I went, that's great advice, because he said people don't read anymore. This book is written to be read in about an hour and a half. Initially, it was designed to be read on an airplane on the first leg of the flight. So talk about grinding, boiling it down to the
essence,
specific, that vision of who's our target audience and getting them to read it on an airplane flight. It's great. So I encourage people to read too.
Excellent. So there's your big, hairy, audacious goals. Are you working on anything else at the moment?
One of the things I do, which is for visibility, because visibility gets recognition gets reward, is I raise money for nonprofits to help them, because most nonprofits have great passion for their mission, but they don't have a great plan or a great process on how to make money from their events. And I don't know how it is in your country, but in this country, we have a lot of nonprofits that struggle to make money. So I help them do that. What that does for me is that creates visibility. For instance, Saturday night, I'll be in front of a room of about 200 people. On next Thursday night, I'm in front of about 200 people. Then Saturday night, I'm in front of about 600 people. So that's visibility for me, and people know who. I had a guy come up to me yesterday and said, you look familiar. And we got to talking, and he'd seen me at an event. So it's a great connector to get that visibility, because again, whatever you're doing, visibility gets recognition gets reward. So
I like that.
Yeah.
Too.
So that's one of the things that I do. Thank you.
Yeah, no, that's good. So have you got a special take on goals and goal setting?
I go back to that target strategy and pursuit all the time. I had a lady one time, I said, how much do you want to make next year? She was in straight commission sales, and she told me, and it was about 5 times more than she'd ever made before. So, okay, great target. What's your strategy to get there? And she said, well, I'm going to sell a bunch. And so guess what? Then we had the opportunity to help her with her strategy of how she's going to get there. You know, what's your average size package, and then boil it down to the closing ratio, and then back into it. So she knew how many people she needed to talk to every morning and every afternoon to get to her goal, because we had that focus on the outcome. And a lot of businesses, I think, show up and think something's going to happen. And what I encourage them to do is look 10 years down the road. Where do you want to be in 10 years, and focus on that? And then that's that North Star that helps lead them to their outcome that they want. That what are you going to do in the next 30, 60, 90 days to get there? Because if you're not focused on that, your trajectory is going to be off, and you're not going to get to the outcome you want. There's two businesses in the United States. Both of them are in the health food store business. One of them sold to Amazon for $14.7 billion. Now that's a lot of money.
In anybody's market, that's a lot.
Exactly. Because that guy had a plan, a process in place, and he got the right people to surround him. And another business in the same exact business that I know personally started a business at the same time, and they went out of business. And the daughter of the people that started it in an interview said, I don't know what I'm going to do after we go out of business. I always thought I would be here till I retire. And I guess there's something in store for me, but I don't know what that is. And I just think that's such a sad situation for that second generation person to have missed out on, the difference between those two organizations. And it's in my book, the story is, but to miss out on that because they didn't have a focus on the people, plan, and process with a target, a strategy, and a pursuit to go do that.
And as we're listening, it's relatively straightforward.
I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer. If I can figure it out, hopefully everybody else can.
Yeah.
People on podcasts ask me, how do we contact you? And I say, go to my website. And honestly, if they can't figure out how to get there, we probably don't need to talk, right? So it's got to be simple.
Yeah. And so we've got to get Charlie Moon. That's what we've got to do. We've got to get Charlie Moon.
GetCharlieMoon.com.
Yeah. No, that's cool.
Thanks. So,
no, it's good stuff. Very useful stuff, and simple. And we like simple. We like effective. And we like good stuff. So I'm going to ask you for a Charlie Moon nugget. So something that we've not already covered. It's goals based, but it's something the whole world needs to know, according to Charlie Moon.
Well, I talked to him about embracing business development, or in their life, embrace where they want to go. And it starts with education, reading, and understanding where your focus is. If you learn to read and don't, why bother learning to read? Yep. Just tell them when you're 7, I'm not going to learn to read because I'm not going to read when I grow up, right? So the E in embrace is for education. The M is mentorship. I think everybody can learn from everybody. All of those 80 people you've talked to, they all have something to say, and we'll pick up something to help people. And then birth a process. The B in embrace is birth a process. And what I talk about there is there's conception of an idea of where you want to go, and then there's the gestation part, and then there's the birth. And so that's step 3. And then R is develop routines around that so that you get where you want to go. And then the 2 most important words are A and C. And when I type this out on handouts and things like that, and in the book, the E, M, B, R are all small letters. The A and the C are capital. And what A and C stands for: accountability, have the courage to face the truth. I had a coaching client the other day that said, I let myself off the hook too easy. So accountability and consistency. And if you own a business, you've got to hold people accountable. You don't have to go in and kick the desk and be rude and scream at them. That's not what I'm talking about. But hold people accountable. Let them know the path that we're going to go down and prepare them for that journey. And then do that in a consistent manner. And I don't know what happens in your world, but in what I see a lot of times is people will start down the path and then they get distracted and they move things off of off the front burner to the back burner to off the stove, and they go, oh yeah, we used to do that. So when you were successful and this was going well, how were yeah, we used to do that. I work with an organization right now that had 40 employees, and now they have about 20. Something happened there. Mm-hmm. So accountability and consistency. And then the last thing in that acronym is execute. Because you can have the greatest plans in the world, and if you don't go do something with them, you've just talked. And we don't want to be that saying about when it's all said and done, a lot more gets said than done. Mm-hmm. The worst hell, this is the introduction to my book, the worst hell we'll ever live is to die, go to heaven, and they show us a video of what we could have done had we gotten up and gone and done it.
Ooh.
Your worst hell.
Oh,
what a way to start a book.
Yeah. That's gonna get. Yeah, I've got goosebumps.
Nice, thank you. So that's so embrace what you're doing. Mm-hmm. Get your arms around it.
Yeah. No,
if
definitely.
you don't have the passion. What happens with a lot of people, everybody's got a Venn diagram, is they have the skills. They have the skills the market will pay for in the second circle, and the third circle is passion. So if those three circles that overlap, those three, that works. But what happens is a lot of people have the skills that they have, and the market will pay them for them, but they don't have any passion for what they're doing. And what they do is they get caught in a trap, those top two circles. And that's a trap, and that's not a good place to be, because you've been given your skills and your passion and what the market will pay you for, so you could contribute your niche to the world. And if you're not doing all three of those, then you're missing out on the passion, which is really the turbocharge of what you do. You've got 80 podcasts. These things just they just happen themselves, right, Doug? They it just shows up. No, it's because you've got some passion, and you're figuring out, just keep going. But I've heard some numbers around podcasts of the number of podcasts that are out there that go, less than 10 episodes, and it's because they didn't have passion for it to keep going. So keep that focus on there and keep going.
Thank you for that. For that. I like the passion thing. I was chatting to a young lady earlier on, and she was talking to me about her finances, and she's going to create a side hustle, and should she be putting money into a pension? And I went, right, okay, well, tell me a little bit about your side hustle, and I wasn't sure I'm not sure she lit up enough, and she said, well, what do you think, having spoken to me? And I said, well, I think you need to have a good hard think about this, because you need to be, you're going to have some trials and tribulations, running this side hustle, and you've got to have passion to get through those. Yes, they're going to be the things that stop you. So
yes,
yeah.
I like how you put it. A good hard think. that's good. That's people can understand that. That's great. I wrote that down. A good hard think.
You need to have a good hard think. Yeah.
I was talking to a commercial realtor yesterday, and what he told me is he doesn't have any money to put in these deals that he does, but he said, I bring the hustle. And he didn't realize how strong that was. And I said, and he wrote it down, because we say things, we don't realize how powerful they are, but a good hard think is power. That's great, Doug.
Well, thank you very much. And I think, Charlie, been most helpful. There's some good stuff in there, some good news stuff as well. So I really do appreciate you joining me. I think we'll bring this episode to a close. We'll make sure that everything that you have available is in the show notes. But I did have a look at your website, getcharliemoon.com. And the stuff is there. It's obvious. It's easily available. So, if you want a free book to read, you go to the website. If you want to pay, we're more than happy to take the couple of bucks that we end up getting out of the Amazon $10-12 that you pay. But there's a free book opportunity there. Charlie, thank you very much for joining me, and we'll stay in touch.
Thank you.